Welcome to the Project Bookends webinar, which is essentially the fifth community workshop that's been held over the last week and a half. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jane Rice, and I'm a principal at Environmental Design and Research, which is a planning and design firm in Syracuse. I have over 20 years of experience as a professional community and land use planner and have provided services to a variety of communities throughout New York State on several different types of planning initiatives, such as comprehensive plans, waterfront plans, site redevelopments, as well as zoning revisions. During this same time frame, I had the opportunity to serve on my local community's planning board, which is the Village of Fayetteville. And for the last 8 years, I have served as a chairperson, and that has allowed me to develop a comprehensive perspective of community planning from the viewpoint of the practitioner, as well as from the viewpoint of a member of a decision-making board in that community. I'm proud to be joining the consultant team for Project Bookends. Our agenda for this afternoon is essentially broken into two parts. We will begin with a presentation on the context and facts about Project Bookends, and after the presentation, we will facilitate a question and answer session. And following that, we'd like to hear from you and obtain your input with respect to what you think should be included in this potential new facility for a library and lifelong learning center. It is always good to start a presentation with a mutual understanding of certain key terms. Undoubtedly, you've heard about Project Bookends over the last few weeks, if not last few months. So what is Project Bookends? Well, essentially, an exciting opportunity was presented to the library board in 2015. And Project Bookends is simply the ongoing assessment of this opportunity. So prior to 2015 and 2014, the library board was undertaking a master planning endeavor to determine the future of the current library in its current building. And they were considering potential for renovation to the current building and or adding on to the current building. And then in 2015, the board was presented with the possible donation of a portion of the former Stella Maris site, which is approximately 3 acres along East Genesee Street. With the donation of this land, the library board in 2015 is now able to consider the potential of relocating the library along with the Barrow Art Gallery and a learning center to this new location. That is the exciting opportunity, and it's the assessment of that opportunity that is Project Bookends. When presented with the option of relocating the library and art gallery to an entirely new site through the donation of this land, the library board was asked to include a new learning center, programming for a new learning center. So what is a learning center? Well, at this stage, we are thinking of a lifelong learning center more as an enhanced programming or activities that complement the library and the gallery, and less a specific size or specific shape or specific amenity. The concept is open to definition by you, the community. What enriched programming would you like to have available to you? What lifelong learning opportunities would you or could you envision for you and your family into the future? So this additional programming or activities would be supported financially through separate or specific fees, like a membership fee or a class fee or donations, but it would be paid for independently and separately from library operating expenses. So what are the facts about Project Bookends? To date, the library board has not made any decision regarding the size or architectural style of a new facility. That decision will be informed by you, the community. That is why we are holding these community visioning workshops, so that the board can better understand what you would like to see in the new facility. Because we do not have definition regarding the size or scale of the building, we also do not have detailed understanding of the cost estimates associated with constructing the new facility. So we don't know the building size and we don't have detailed information regarding estimated costs. But what we do know, however, is that the local tax dollars dedicated to the library cannot be used and will not be used for the capital costs, and that is the cost of constructing a new building. The tax dollars are used or contributed to the operating budget for the library, and private funds will have to be raised for the costs of constructing a new facility. We also know that municipal approvals will be necessary before a new facility can be constructed. And finally, but of equal importance, is the fact that the board is fully aware and fully understands that the existing library building is a community asset, and that the board is mindful that the future use of this building is very important to ensuring that that community asset remains as such. Once the board decided to seriously explore this new opportunity, their first step was to retain professional experts to help them appropriately assess the complex details relative to this potential new location for the library. In late 2016, the board retained a consultant team, and that team consists of architects, landscape architects, and construction managers. Butland Rowland Mays Architects, Holmes, King, Paulquist and Associates Architects, Environmental Design and Research, VIP Structures with pre-construction management expertise. In addition to that collection of experts, there's a subgroup, if you will, with communications and fundraising feasibility experts. The Pinckney Hugo Group, as well as the David Kelleher of Harvest Fundraising Council. So with the professional consultants on board, the library board was ready to professionally assess this possible opportunity before it. In so doing, several factors had to be evaluated and considered, many of which speak to the financial implications of this opportunity. Such factors include reviewing the operating budget. What is the current operating budget, and as well as what will the future budget be? And how will that budget play out if the library stays in its current building versus being moved to a new location? This also speaks to current programs and services as well as future programs and services. Another factor is current building versus possible new development, new site development. All of these issues will include some level of capital costs, where those are costs for renovation of the current building and or in addition to the current building, or the construction of a brand new building. So who's going to pay for all of this? Well, the library board knows, one thing is certain, that the tax dollars that is currently being donated to the library, dedicated to the library, will be dedicated to covering operating costs and will not be used towards the cost of any new construction, be it a renovation of the current building, an addition to the current building, or a whole new facility. So why would the library consider moving when such an opportunity comes with some complexities? Well, the reason the library board is considering possible relocation is because the current location of the library has constraints that are very challenging to mitigate. Accessibility to and through the building is severely compromised. It is important to the board to have a facility that is accessible to patrons of all abilities and mobilities. The community or group gathering space is severely restricted also. Group gathering space is somewhat determined by default, not really by design. Wouldn't it be great to be able to design group gathering spaces for, smaller age children, for their reading rooms and opportunities for teenage children just to hang out and to meet with each other, as well as for, book group meetings and other community related meetings. So the amount of current available space in the library hinders what the library can offer in terms of books, videos, resources, and other materials. Finally, as you all know, the current location has compromised parking facilities, which affects access to the library. An expansion in the current location, an expansion of the current building, could provide significant improvements in some areas, but it would not serve all the needs expressed by the community in terms of what they would want from their local library. A new building could provide more of what we heard from the community in terms of what you want now and in the future, as well as a more efficient layout with energy efficient design features. So the proposed location also would allow the library to stay in the village. It won't be in the heart of the village, but it will be in the village and therefore accessible to all patrons. Similar to the library, the Barrow Art Gallery continues to be constrained by limited physical space. The art gallery could be enhanced with new breathable space that allows for unique art collections to be better seen and experienced by the community. You could have improved environmentally appropriate storage areas as well as additional display areas for the unique art collection. So when will all of this happen? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we are still in the initial phase of Project Bookends, and we are still collecting input from the community. And this webinar is concluding a week and a half of community workshops for visioning purposes to understand the community's vision for a potential new facility. So once we gather this information, we will have an open house, and then after the open house, we will begin investigating whatever we need to do for the municipal approvals. Essentially, if you were to begin the municipal approval process in the early summer of 2017, because it is a multiple month process, we wouldn't be able to conclude that process much before the late fall of 2017, which means that construction wouldn't begin any sooner than early summer of 2018. So let's talk a little bit about municipal approvals. As mentioned before, they are definitely needed if we were to establish a new facility on this location of the former Silamara site. The kinds of approvals that we are pretty confident will be needed are zoning review, site plan review, which means that the planning board will take a very close look of whatever plans are proposed for that site. We're pretty confident that you will need a special permit review as well, and that process will take a hard look at the land uses that are being proposed for that site. And then we certainly will have a New York State environmental quality review of whatever is being proposed for that site. So during all of these processes, the community will have an opportunity to voice its opinion and identify any concerns or any additional details that it would like to be reviewed. The village has specific review processes in place. We will follow those specific processes and schedules, all of which include some degree of public hearings, and so there will be plenty of opportunity for community input during that process. So that pretty much explains Project Bookends and where it is in the current assessment of that opportunity. But there's this kind of parallel concern or issue with the possible relocation of the library, and that is what will happen with the future, what is the future use of the existing building. Well, this concern has not, escaped the library board, and they're very aware of it to such an extent that they passed a resolution specifically identifying this concern and pretty much committing to researching what the opportunities are with respect to future use of the existing building. Not just pass a resolution, they've actually begun acting on it. A current building outcomes committee has been formed. It is being co-chaired by Scott Belia and Evan Dreyfus. Additional committee members include several professionals within the community with specific knowledge sets relative to this issue, potential reuse of a historic building. They've already met a few times, and their intention is to just do the kind of research necessary to figure out what possibly could happen in a historic building of that magnitude. And once they have gathered enough data and information, they then intend to reach out to the community for some additional input with respect to future reuse of the current library building. So where we are at this stage is we really are seeking your input as to what shape, what size, what aesthetic look, and what potential programming could occur at this new facility, with this new facility being understood as a library, art gallery, and lifelong learning center. Again, specific size and dimensions of the building have not been established because we're interested in what the community would like to see in terms of really exciting, enriched programming and opportunities for space. And we certainly can discuss great opportunities for flex space, mixed use of spaces, so that we have a very efficiently designed facility that is financially sustainable for the whole community. We would like to entertain any questions that you may have, provide any clarification that you may be seeking, and then we can seek your input with respect to some creative opportunities for the new facility. So thank you very much.